I was going to do this to be making a discussion video like I normally do whenever something happens around Rooster Teeth as a company. But honestly, I just want to discuss some thoughts I've been having lately about this whole issue. 3 years ago, as of a couple months ago, my first big video, my Rooster Teeth FML video, where I discussed my problems with Rooster Teeth and how they've been getting a lot more political as of late, at least as of that time. Not only has it skyrocketed in the time since that video in terms of their political views and how they go about discussion, the problems with Rooster Teeth as a company have only become worse. And I also watched a video about Rooster Teeth that was done through the heart and mind of someone who grew up with them and liked their content, and he made a video basically discussing his entire journey with them throughout the years and how he thanks them for all the good times even if he's moved on from them for various reasons. And it was by this guy named Close Enough, and that Rooster Teeth is basically his biggest inspiration to become a content creator, and he went through all these different things throughout the years. And honestly, I agree with all that. But there's something that I noticed in that video. The thing I noticed is he doesn't talk about much else other than the creative aspect. He's not talking about any of the outside stuff going on, and that's what really got me thinking, is he deliberately leaving that out as if to not have any, bad discussion about it, or is he not leaving it out because that is actually one of the reasons why people don't like this company as of late? And this would either mess with the narrative or something. Now, I'm not going to say that one because I don't think that's what it is. I think he just doesn't want to talk about the politics because the politics, with how things have been going recently in the last few weeks, and not only that, this entire fucking year, I wouldn't want to be talking about it either when you're talking about them as a company in terms of, praising them for all their past work. But Close Enough, he made this video, What Happened to Rooster Teeth, and he's talking about it, and he said the content's gotten bad. Not necessarily bad, it's just they just weren't my fancy anymore, and he left them because of that, and he thanked them for all the good times. And then that's made me start thinking about my experience with them, because my experience with them went about exactly the same way, almost, at least up until a point. And I left them for completely different reasons than he did. See, we both watching their stuff. The first time I ever watched anything from Rooster Teeth was when my little brother, when we were on the computer in my childhood, when I was at his house, we watched an episode of Red vs. Blue, and I don't remember if it was season 7 or 8. No, it was season 8. It was when, it was the episode when Doc got punched into a wall, and it was fucking hilarious. We loved that. And I started watching them on and off since then. But I really started watching them big time around 2010, 2011. So I was back 11 to 12 years old when I really started getting into their stuff. Especially once season 10 came around for Red vs. Blue. And then I was hooked on them. I was hooked, and I started watching a lot of their older stuff, a lot of their newer stuff. I wasn't as fervorish in my fascination with Red vs. Blue and Rooster Teeth as a whole as Close Enough. But I was still enamored with their content. I was enamored with the personalities. I was enamored with the voice acting, and that not only that, they were using Halo a lot, and I was starting to become a big Halo fan up to that point in my life. It was interesting. It was interesting for me. And then when Ruby came around, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, and it tickled all of my fancies just about, and it really got me back into anime. And just, the more I was consuming their content, the more I started, liking them more. The more I just got more enamored with them. Now, around that time, about 2014 is when I got my first phone. Then I started seeing stuff on Twitter. And what is a kid gonna do when they see a social media site? They're gonna try to start following people they know and they recognize. And I started following people from Rooster Teeth. Or at least I sought out their Twitter bios, not their bios, but I sought out their Twitters. Then I started seeing some political crap. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna stop this for now. And then I didn't see anything with them politically for the next couple of years. No, at least until the next year. Then Monty died. And that was a big hiccup for me, because I stopped watching Ruby right after that. I didn't watch Volume 3 until just before Volume 4 came out. And Monty's death really affected me, because I was really starting to become a big fan of Monty's work. I mean, I knew he did. I didn't know he did Haloid until after he died, but I had watched Haloid when I was younger, and I didn't know it was him. And it was like, wow, that was a really good fight animation. It was pretty cool, combining two of the most widely recognizable first-person shooters of all time, and it was really neat. But Monty died. I stopped watching the content. I was still watching Red vs. Blue because of the Chorus trilogy, but also at that point I was really starting to get burned out with their individual content. I wasn't really watching Achievement Hunter. I wasn't watching their podcast or anything like that. I was just watching the mainstream content at that point. And that was around that time, though, that Monty died, that, I was starting to fear for the future of Ruby. That's why I stopped watching. But not only that, I was wondering how they would go forward with Ruby now that Monty had died. And now you'd think, because a friend who told me this, that the Japanese, in terms of their shows, if somebody died in the middle of the production, they would just stop it. Like, they wouldn't even continue it. That's why High School of the Dead hasn't gotten any new issues in years, is because the guy who wrote it died. He stopped writing it because he got sick, but he died, and they were never going to continue it. And in a way, I was not wanting that to happen, but I was kind of wanting that to happen, because he wasn't going to be there to cultivate it, to help it grow. But not only that, I started looking up more and more things online, and then I started seeing more and more political stuff from the employees, at least the big-time celebrities. And I was like, uh-oh. Oh, boy. And I was in the time where I was still pretty deep into politics in terms of following it around in my spare time, because that's what I liked to do when I was younger, was look at politics. I literally would walk up to my teacher every morning in terms of the news and talk about stuff going on around the world, in the local politics, and in national politics. I was talking about it a lot. I was thinking about it a lot. I was always absorbing political content. But one of the big reasons why I did not watch a lot of their content after the Chorus trilogy, and I didn't go into Ruby Volume 3, was because I started seeing people who were working on these projects, and I was like, these guys are kind of acting like dicks. But eventually, I got back into the show. Thought the first volume was pretty amazing. At least the second half, now that I think about it, was pretty fucking amazing, because of the dramatic tonal shift. But at that point, I had been desensitized, whatever you say that word, to some of the stuff that was going down, because people love spreading fucking spoilers a lot. But, it was alright. I was like, things are on the up and up. Then I watched Volume 4, and then around that time was, the election. Then I started seeing more and more bad stuff, but it wasn't like what they're doing now. It was still tame, but they were really acting like assholes. And so I stopped watching stuff after Volume 4, but the main reason I stopped watching Volume 4 wasn't because of the political stuff. That was a contributing factor, but it wasn't the main reason. The main reason was because I watched Volume 4, and I saw that I was trying to think of what they were doing, and I was like, this feels like they're underachieving. I don't see them trying to improve the show. Granted, they tried to improve the animation, but the big thing they did in doing so was going on to a completely different animation software. And Monty was like, look, man, we wanted to do it on the original thing and not do it on Maya, but they switched to Maya, and they were trying to do that before Volume 3. At least is what I've been hearing. But, yeah, it wasn't really great having to deal with that stuff, but I stopped watching that. Then the Chorus trilogy dropped. I was done with that. The election came and passed. I wasn't really looking at them online at the time. until I was getting close to the beginning of the year, and then that's when I started making my channel. And it was one of the things I was just nagging at my mind, is that I know there isn't much that I'm able to find online in terms of how they're spreading their politics, but they were acting like assholes. And so I made my video. There wasn't that many examples I had, but it was just a nagging feeling that I had. That's why I made the video, was because I just had this nagging feeling that Rooster Teeth was really starting to become SJW. And I had an example from Rags, and a guy who's no longer on YouTube named Mr. Intelligent, who did a response to Mica Burton and her rant on racial issues, and a couple of other things. But honestly, looking back on it now, that's not a video I'm necessarily proud of. I'm only having it up right now, honestly, because it's just, I am at least proud that it got so many views in such a short amount of time. And just recently, until just recently, it was the biggest video I ever had for so long. But then the more I started looking online, the more I really started getting deep into this rabbit hole, the more I started realizing stuff was going down at Rooster Teeth. Employees were becoming general assholes, and they were spreading a lot of misinformation in terms of politics. I remember responding to several of them, as I still do now, but before I got blocked by more than a few of them, I was responding to them on a frequent basis when they were saying stuff that they was either completely wrong, or, just not in the greatest of lights. Let's just say that. And they love doing the painting your opposition as the worst thing ever trick that I'm tired of, unless the person is legitimately a fucking disgusting person. But they were doing that. Wasn't really particularly happy with it. So, more as time went on, I started making more videos. Not very frequently. I don't have that many of them, and there's quite a few of them where I've just taken them off because I just, don't want my mug being plastered for everybody to see, but two, there weren't really great videos in my mind. But I was seeing more and more of their behavior, and it concerned me greatly. I wasn't really particularly happy with how things had been going. And then came 2019. 2019 was, I think, the year when everybody started to realize that Rooster Teeth was a sinking ship and that everybody needed to jump overboard. You have the Vic Mignogna situation. You have the Glassdoor reviews and that whole controversy about the workplace conditions, and you have Grey Haddock, and then you have the reshuffling of positions, the firing, the layoffs, and then not only that, the worst political posturing I've ever seen. Because they were basically a wing of the Democratic Party at that point. And I don't say that lightly. They were legitimately out there trying to press propaganda for the Democratic Party. That's what I saw, at least. They weren't trying to have discussions. It was, you are with me or you are against me type of shit. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Granted, I had a decent discussion with Ashley Jones over the Overwatch character being turned gay all of a sudden. But other than that, really, all I saw from the employees and the celebrities, at least the big ones, were fucking douchebaggery on a massive scale. And then not only that, they refused to address not only criticisms, which was piling and piling and piling up at this point, but they would also refuse to admit that they were wrong on the judgments of the Me Too movement, because that's exactly what took Vic down. And they were refused, basically, when having evidence put in their face that what the movement they're supporting is bullshit, they just keep doubling down on it. Which is not good for intellectual honesty. And they aren't intellectually honest. But there's also a part in Close Enough's video where Jack goes off on people saying that basically if you don't like us right now, you're just wanting to watch Rome burn. If you keep saying that we're dead, that's what you're saying. And I kind of agree with him. I kind of agree. Because Jack brings up these Oh no, Jeff. I don't know why I'm saying Jack. Jeff. Jeff was saying this, that, said we were dead when we did some crappy projects during Red vs. Blue in the early days. They said we were dead when we got absorbed into the Warner Media stuff, and blah, 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 blah. But we're still here. We're still here. We're still making content. I'm super passionate about it. So, well, you're super passionate about it, but a lot of people used to be super passionate about it, me included. And we don't feel that passion anymore. And it varies from person to person. This is close enough to take was, I just didn't feel them doing stuff content-wise for me, but I wasn't going out there bashing them every 5 minutes. And I try not to bash them every 5 minutes, contrary to popular belief if people are talking about me out there. I genuinely want this company to succeed. I do. But do you want to know why people are wanting to watch Rome burn, Jeff? People are wanting to watch Rome burn because Rome, like in real life, did not learn from its mistakes and let the barbarians come to the gates and have their way. That's what you guys are doing. As much as you're fighting against it, quote unquote, you're not doing anything to help. Your criticism is at an all-time high. The dissatisfaction with your workplace conditions and with your works as of late have done nothing but turn people against you. There is a lot of shit coming out. Even Mica Burton, who apparently they were supposed to be defending her during all that crap about her rant, apparently they were more concerned about LeVar Burton liking the company than actually supporting her. Now, I will say this now, Mica Burton deserved all the backlash she got, but she'd made it clear on her Twitter that it wasn't the community that made her leave Rooster Teeth, it was the company. And not only that, you have been seeing a lot of people leaving RT recently, from animators to their e-celebs, and owners, and founders. And that reminds me, they kicked out Joel, and they didn't tell anybody about it. And that seems really fucking scummy to me. And not only that, if the reason I think they fired him for, which is purely political, then it further exposes their hypocrisy because they love spreading a bunch of bullshit about politics. But no, you want to get rid of Joel when he's out there telling people to buy guns and that the fucking riots are bullshit and staying safe, basically. Now, it's not to say that he wasn't saying anything stupid on his Twitter, but then again, so was everyone else. Everybody else was. But no, he's not on our side, so we must punish him for the wrong thing. And you wonder why people get pissed every time they hear about something from you, Rooster Teeth? You wonder why? That's why. Your hypocrisy is showing, and it's disgusting. But my entire point of making this video was, look, I want this company to succeed. But the more you keep punching people while they're down and taking advantage of their goodwill, the more and more people will get pissed at you. The more and more they will turn away from you in droves, which they are doing. And the more and more you keep exposing yourself to death as a company. And that's what's happening. You guys are this close to being completely thrown under the bus. You will be absorbed into whatever, for doing who knows what for Warner Media. And quite honestly, you deserve it as a company. You couldn't control yourselves. You acted with extreme unprofessionalism and hypocrisy. And you just screwed up. And it's too late to learn from your mistakes, it looks like. As much as I want you to still be here and have some part of my life in a positive way, I can't support you. I can't. This type of shit's unacceptable. Honestly, if I had the fucking money, I'd buy Rooster Teeth right now from Warner Media and just do whatever the fuck I wanted. And you know what I would do if I had bought Rooster Teeth? I would have a big, big meeting with all of their e-celebs about all the bullshit. I would talk to them directly about all the issues, how much they're being assholes about it, and how they're being assholes to fans, or how fans perceive them to be assholes and hypocrites, and that they need to change, and if they don't want to change, you can leave the company. I would bring back people like Joel. I would bring back Vic Mignogna. I would do a lot of things to try to improve the culture over there. Not that I would be completely successful, because I don't think I would, even if I actually had the opportunity to. But I would be doing what I could to help the company. But honestly, I think this ship needs to go out to sea and live out its final days. They deserve that, at least. And to all the good people who work there, to all the people who were being screwed over, to all the people who have been trying to make inroads with the community, who've been trying to tamper down the division, who are actually genuinely good people, I'm sorry for what this company has done. For not only the reputation of you, because you are representing them, but just for making your jobs and lives significantly harder. And I don't know if this will be the last ever Rooster Teeth video I make. Maybe I'll make a video when they inevitably die out. Maybe I'll make another one soon whenever one of their celebrities says something stupid again. I don't know. I don't want to make videos on the fall of a franchise like this. It just hurts doing. It really hurts. But if you love something, you have to criticize it when they're doing something wrong. You have to tell them, dude, this is not right. This is not what you should be doing. Please. You need to be doing more. You need to be being more ambitious. You need to do what you can to fix everything that has been destroyed. But I don't see that happening. And to all of you who have supported me since that first video I made on Rooster Teeth, I thank you. I do thank you, because this video is this is my genuine thoughts. I'm not trying to rant. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I am being an asshole in some ways, but I'm just trying to share my genuine thoughts on the matter. I've made mistakes. I'm trying to learn from them. I don't think Rooster Teeth is. And honestly, this should be a lesson as to not get high off your own supply. And honestly, as creators, I think it would do us all some good to learn from the mistakes of this company and to make ourselves better, not only as people, but as content creators. So, to all those out there trying to be creators, to all those people who are out there like me, like Close Enough, who got inspired to make content because of Rooster Teeth, those who are trying to make themselves big in this business that is video making, good luck. And I hope you succeed. No matter your race, your creed, your nationality, your sexuality, your political affiliation, I hope you do what you can to make yourselves right. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you later.